So in this verse, the Lord is speaking to his doorkeepers, and he's glorifying the Brāhmaṇas. The previous verse, the Lord mentions that how the cows and the Brāhmaṇas are very dear to him. The Brāhmaṇas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. We have that verse, Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha. So, as we were discussing in one of the previous classes, we all are very fortunate, very blessed that we are staying in a community of devotees, Brāhmaṇas, Vaiṣṇavas. And we have ample opportunities to serve the Supreme Lord, serve the Vaiṣṇavas. And by pleasing the devotees, by pleasing the Vaiṣṇavas, just like even in the Vedas it is mentioned that the Lord eats through the mouths of Brāhmaṇas. And there are many examples where about the spiritual master, about the devotees, it's mentioned that by getting the mercy of the devotees, by getting the mercy of Vaiṣṇavas, we can please Krishna. So, as we discussed, we have ample opportunities to serve the Vaiṣṇavas, serve the Lord, please them. We also have ample opportunities to displease them, to offend them, which can be dangerous, which, just like here, the Kumaras were offended. And Shastras mention about Vaishnava Aparadh, how it is a mad elephant offense. So in one sense, we have to be very cautious. Every moment, knowingly, unknowingly, we can offend someone. We can displease someone. And we see in our day-to-day interaction, there are many opportunities arise like that. We may be coordinating some service, festival is coming. Some situation might arise which might provoke us. We might use angry words. Something didn't go as per the plan. So day in and day out, we may encounter so many such situations. So here Bhagavatam is giving practical example of how Brāhmaṇas and Vaiṣṇavas have to be treated. Here in the verse it is mentioned, even though they use harsh words, which happens. As I was mentioning earlier, we all have knowing-doing gap. Today I might decide that I will not use harsh words. Today I might decide I will not get angry. Today I might decide I will not offend any devotees. But there is a knowing-doing gap. I know, but because of various reasons, my samskaras, my vasanas, my programming, my upbringing, my nature, I might act differently. And we all have experience of that. And many times we regret. We feel guilty. I shouldn't have done like that. Which is understandable. Not everything, prakrite kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvashah, ahankara vimoodatma karta hamiti manyate. We are helpless. Sometimes we are under the influence of lower modes. The modes are driving our behavior. So, as I mentioned earlier, what we do in that moment, so many factors are in play. We can act wrongly. We can do mistakes. Two is human. We are conditioned souls. But what we do after we have realized what we have done is important. That does not give us a license that you can act recklessly. But I am saying, in spite of we deciding that I will be very careful, I will not offend someone, I'll be very kind, I'll be gentle, I'll not speak harshly, I will not get angry. In spite of that, we will act otherwise. So what we do after we realized that we have done a mistake, that is important. Therefore they say, mistake is not a mistake unless you learn from that mistake. You realize and then you make the right amends. So here we might have situations where somebody has offended us, somebody has used harsh words, somebody has scolded us, at times for no fault of ours. All the situations will arise. And let us always remember that Maya is there, always to distract us, to take us away from the Lord's service, association of devotees. So Maya will also prompt these kind of situations. This can be a test by Maya. So here the Lord is saying to look upon Brāhmaṇas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even though they may use harsh words. Just like a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. The Lord is giving His own example. I am pacifying you. So, as I mentioned, it is little dangerous. Why it is dangerous? Because the example of mad elephant offense, to grow a garden, nurture it, it may take 15-20 years. A mad elephant can ruin that garden in no time. So that's why it is dangerous. Because what we have so painstakingly built, accumulated, spiritual credits, the spiritual advancement, although credits are permanent in nature, but Prabhupada says spiritual advancement can be checked for the time being. So garden, a mad elephant enters, it ransacks, it completely destroys the garden, uproots the tree. The trees which have taken 15-20 years to grow, it can be just uprooted. So that way we have to be careful. That's why the word introspective sage is used. Introspective. We have to analyze our own actions. Many times we will be acting helplessly, but have to analyze. Why did I say like this? Have I offended someone? What can I do to pacify him? After I realize that I have done a mistake, the minimum what we have to do, the minimum is beg forgiveness. We have example of Durvasa Muni, how Ambarish Maharaj was offended, although he did not take offense. He being a great devotee, a properly situated devotee will not take offense when he is offended personally, because he will say, Tattvana kumpam, it is my doing, I should be getting much more. In fact, I am a rascal. Why this much? I should be getting much more. So he will not feel offended. In his consciousness, it will be, actually, I am getting what is due to me. In fact, I am getting a token of what is due to me. But Ambarish did not get offended. If you see, he was not getting angry at Durvasa Muni. In fact, he was feeling sorry that because of me he had to take so much of inconvenience. But offense was done, and Sudarshan Chakra was chasing Durvasa Muni. And you could get relieved of that so-called punishment only when he fell at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj and begged forgiveness. So minimum what we can do is ask forgiveness. So few quotes from Srila Prabhupada's instructions. How we can practically handle these situations which might arise on a day-to-day basis. Many times when we hear Bhagavatam class or read Prabhupada books, there are many practical instructions which are meant to be applied in our daily life. That's called Vaiṣṇava etiquette, Vyavahara, Achar. Reading session should not be limited to just reading and having put a tick mark that yes, my reading is over. Prabhupada also says, what's the use of reading a whole chapter and forgetting it till the next reading? It is better to read one verse, memorize it, apply it, and remember it. So, just like swimming cannot be learned by reading about swimming, by hearing about swimming, one has to get into the pool and actually learn it. So, when we are living in a community of devotees, we'll get ample opportunities to apply the principles what we are learning in the Bhagavatam. And if we are little introspective, we are little careful, knowing that there's a knowing-doing gap, in that moment I acted little recklessly, but later on I can understand that this is where I went wrong, this is the principle I violated, this is the principle which should have been applied, and see what best we can do so that a similar situation I handle it differently. Akrodha means to check anger. Even if there is provocation, one should be tolerant. For one, when he becomes angry, his whole body becomes polluted. Anger is the product of modes of passion and lust. So one who is transcendentally situated should check himself from anger. So many times when we are provoked, we get angry. Especially if our ego gets hurt, somebody hurts us, somebody uses harsh words, somebody criticizes us. So as far as personal insult is concerned, we should tolerate. That is what Shastras are saying. And there are many examples. Like here also Prabhupada gives two examples of even Chitraketu, Parikshit Maharaj. A sadhu or a devotee is never angry. Actually, the real feature of devotees who undergo tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. Although a Vaishnava has sufficient power in tapasya, he does not become angry when put into difficulty. So if I am getting angry, if I get provoked, small situation irritate me, many times what we do is we blame the situation, blame the person. No doubt, vyavharik level, since we are living in a community, somebody is taking undue advantage, he is very reckless in his behavior, we have to do the corrective steps. But always we should feel what I can do to tolerate better. Which is a fact that if we are getting agitated, getting angry, yes, some percentage is because of what has provoked us, but large percentage is because of how we have responded to what provoked us. Many times this is not apparent. That's why we put all the blame on others. A large percentage is how we have responded to what has happened to us. If we always blame others for what we are going through, even if we are very disturbed, then we are like puppets. They treat us well, we feel good. They treat us bad, we feel bad. So who is having control? The other person. If the weather is good, I feel good. If the weather is bad, I feel bad. So I'm like a puppet in others' hand. We have to be puppet in hands of Krishna. We have to be puppets in hands of Prabhupada. Not puppet in the hands of some normal person. In all reverse conditions, he agrees to suffer the results of his past life. He never accuses the Lord for putting him in distress condition. These are the signs of an exalted devotee. Tatya anukampam susumikshamano. When suffering reverse condition, the devotee always considers that reverse conditions are the Lord's concession. He is never angry with his master. He is always satisfied with the position of what his master offers. In any case, he continues performing his duty in devotional service. So here is saying the Lord is considered as his master. He never complains against his master. Even when we call Prabhu, other devotees as Prabhu, what does that mean? He is a master. I am your servant, Prabhu. Prabhupada also says, don't use this word Prabhu just as a matter of ritual. Prabhu means he is master. Consciousness. He is my master, I am his servant. Some cases, yes, anger doesn't mean that Vaishnava philosophy is very nice. All emotions have a place. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry with the miscreant brothers Jagai and Madai who blasphemed and struck Nityananda Prabhu. In this Sikshtashtaka, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Trinadapi suni chena tarodapi saishna. One should be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. One may then ask why the Lord exhibited his anger. The point is that one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. This is where we go wrong. We have examples in Shastras of devotees getting angry, but many times we justify our anger because yes, anger has a place, every emotion has a place. The principle is we should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotee is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offenders. Again, knowing doing gap, again introspection. Why did I get angry? Was it that Krishna, Prabhupada was blasphemed? That irritated me, that made me angry, or my ego got hurt? Somebody criticized me. Somebody criticized my behavior. Why did I get angry? This will only happen if some bit of, with sattvic, sattva guna, will think, will analyze ourselves. You see, spiritual advancement requires some bit of introspection. No doubt our process is there by chanting, reading, hearing, kirtanam, all good qualities will come about. But if we are not learning from our mistakes and keep repeating the same mistakes, then the advancement will get delayed. Although the process is very powerful, but we are repeating the same mistakes. We are offending the devotees. Shama, forgiveness should be practiced, one should excuse the minor offenses of others. Many times we have to be very, very careful of criticism. This is a fault-finding tendency and criticism. It is an anartha. And all conditioned souls have this anartha. There is a rasa in criticizing others. And that's why many people do it. I shared this story once in WhatsApp group. If you remember, there was once a king who was serving food to the brāhmaṇas. There was an eagle flying in the sky carrying a dead snake, and poison from the mouth of dead snake fell from the sky. It fell on the food which was being served. It was taken by a brāhmana, and that brāhmana died. Now the Yamadutas, they have to punish. The brāhmana got killed. Now let us all analyze who should get the punishment. The eagle who was carrying the snake whose mouth that poison fell, after all it's a dead snake. How can that snake be punished? Or the king who was serving the food, because of which the poisoned food ate by a brāhmana, the brāhmana died. Should the king be punished? Should the eagle be punished? Or should the snake be punished? Whom should be punished? So they were confused. Then one day, there were some brāhmanas entering the kingdom, and there was a lady. They were not sure which path to take. So they asked this lady, "Is this the palace of the king? Is this the way leading to that palace?" So the lady said, yes, but be careful. This king is the killer of the brāhmanas. He serves foods, and then I've heard that the brāhmanas get killed. So Yamaduta decided this punishment of killing the brāhmana should go to whom? It was to the lady who was criticizing the king unnecessarily. So let's not think that we can go every action has a reaction. Sometimes we may think that criticizing, how does it matter? Anyway, he is not heard. He is not hurt. I am criticizing. Has a reaction. They say, if we criticize someone and the reason for which we are criticizing is correct, then we get 50% of the karma. And if we are criticizing someone and we are wrong in criticizing, our analysis is wrong, we're criticizing something for which he is not due for criticism, we get 100% of karma. Just like this example. And if that Vaiṣṇava hears, he gets offended. So we have to be careful. Spiritual life is not recklessly doing things and things will automatically advancement will happen. Every action we have to be careful. We can make mistakes. We can offend someone. But we can rectify. Can try our best to rectify. There was once a painter. he was relatively inexperienced. 2-3 years he has been painting. He was getting trained under a very expert painter. So he made a painting. He spent about 2 months, very painstakingly, very nicely he painted. And then, since he was open to learning, he wanted feedback. He took the painting, kept it in a street, and put one small placard next to it. I am relatively a new painter. I have made this painting, but I understand that there may be some mistakes. And next to that painting, in the street, he kept few pens. He says, wherever you find, I look forward to feedback, corrections. Wherever you feel that there is some mistake, you can take a pen and put a cross mark in that area. Suppose a flower, it is not properly painted, it is looking not proper, you put a cross mark there. So this painting was kept in the street and people were passing by. So people would stop, look at the painting, take the pen, put a cross mark. Another person will stop, take a painting, put a cross mark. By evening this painter came, there were 50-60 cross marks. And he had spent 2 months painting that thing. And he was relatively a new painter. He got so disheartened, so demotivated. He went back home and he cried and cried and cried. Whole night he could not sleep. He says, by 2 months of hard work, I put my heart and soul, and so many flaws. Better to give up. So he went to his guru and he said, this is what happened. I was genuinely looking for feedback, corrections. I know that there are improvement areas, but this is what people have done. Looks like I can never be a good painter. So the guru told him, do something differently. He again made the painting. He encouraged, inspired him. And he says, this time you want feedback, no? Go and put the painting in the same place, but in the placard, just change a little what you have written. He says, I am a new painter. I have made this painting. I am looking for feedback and corrections. Wherever, here is the pens and brushes. Wherever you feel that there is some improvement required, please take the brush and make the required improvement. Two, 3 days pass by. For every day is coming and there is no correction. The painting is as it is. People are coming by, stopping, reading the placard, what is mentioned, and passing. So there's a message for all of us here. It's very easy to criticize. It is free. That's why we very easily fall for it. Our intention should not be to criticize. If we see some fault in someone, our genuine motive should be how I can help that person. Faults are there in everyone. How I can correct, how I can help, how I can improve, how I can make him better. That should be the intention. Many times we find fault because there's a rasa in it. I think shared once earlier, please understand what is the psychology behind why we criticize and find faults. See, we all have come in this world, we want to be Krishna, be the center of attraction, be the highest. That's why a manager is not happy, he wants to be general manager. General manager is not happy, he wants to be director. Director is not happy, he wants to be the managing director. Managing director is not happy, he wants to be the chairman. So we want to go higher. All of us have experienced when we are traveling by train, the train is standing in a platform. Suddenly when you look one side, it appears to you the train has started moving. But you see other side, the train is standing on the platform. And then you realize that your train is not moving, but the train next to the train in which you are seated starts moving in the opposite direction. So relatively speaking, you get a feeling that your train is moving. So when we pull someone down, when we criticize someone, when we fault find with someone, relatively speaking, we get a kick that I am going higher. I am better. The two ways we can be better. Two ways. Proactively we go better. Proactively we move higher. Or we can get the same kick psychologically, relatively, by pulling someone down. And of the two, proactively going higher is tougher. Pulling someone down through our words is easier. And that's why we take the easy route. A devotee should be busy working on himself. How to go higher, 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 better, purer. And that's hard work. Introspection, anartha nivritti, working on himself. Finding fault with himself. That is a tougher route. But you can get the kick by putting someone down, by finding faults. There was a lady who moved to a neighborhood, new house. And when she saw out of the window, she said, what kind of these neighbors are there? They don't know how to clean the clothes, how dirty the clothes are. The husband listened to her. Next day again, when they sat in the balcony, when they sat in the house, having the tea, they looked out and said, how these neighbors, these people, so unclean, so untidy. See what kind of clothes, it's all dirty. So this went on for a few days. And one day, the lady looked out of the window and said, today they have cleaned so nicely. The clothes are looking so clean, so bright, so white. Who taught them to clean the clothes so well? At last they have understood how to clean their clothes well. The husband said, today morning I got up and I cleaned the windows of our house. Seldom we realize the shortcomings we see all around us could be because the paradigms, the perspectives, the vision we ourselves have. And that's why a devotee should be busy cleaning his own window, cleaning his own perception, cleaning his own thinking, cleaning his own thinking, feeling and willing. Otherwise, we are busy cleaning, thinking, feeling and willing of the whole world. If our windows are unclean, we can never have clean clothes outside. Whether they use nirma or they use... we'll always find the clothes are unclean and criticize and blaspheme. We should realize this. This is perspective, this is paradigm, this is vision. If we are wearing the red glass, we'll see everything red. But we never question the glass. We see the world red and we criticize. And why this trap is even more acute when you are living in a Vaishnava community, because whom we will be criticizing is not some ordinary jivas, our Vaiṣṇavas, our brāhmaṇas. If they get offended, we will be committing Vaishnava aparadh. We have come here to advance spiritually. What will happen to our advancement? So we have to be very careful. We can make mistakes. There's a knowing-doing gap. We are fallible. We have anarthas. We have misgivings. We have false paradigms. We have our glass which is unclean. Recognize that. Recognize that. Humility comes. Then we are not proud. Then we are willing to beg forgiveness. Then we are willing to understand, yes, I may be wrong. My understanding may be wrong. I have committed mistake. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Otherwise, why me? Why I can answer? I didn't make mistake. That paradigm will be moving with. So we'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Prabhupada.